Hey guys, my name is George and this is my newest channel called Math Tutor, and basically I decided to create this channel because, well, I am a part-time math tutor myself, and so I decided to expand on what I do and also do some online math tutoring here for you guys on YouTube, just for fun, and to be able to share my knowledge with you guys of math. And yeah, so basically in each video what I plan on doing is discussing and explaining a different math topic. So for example, today I'm going to be talking about fractions, and specifically doing some examples on adding fractions. And so if you guys have anything in mind in terms of any topic you'd like me to discuss or make a video about, don't hesitate to ask me. Just send me a message in the comment section below, and whenever I get a chance I will make a video I'll get back to you, or I'll make a video about the topic that you suggested, and we'll go from there. So, and I do teach mathematics from grades 1 to 12, all topics, so doesn't matter what grade you're in. If you have any questions or stuck on a particular problem that you need help solving, don't hesitate to again send me a message in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you whenever I can. So as for today though, I thought I'd start off with something simple like adding fractions. So today that is the topic that I want to go through with you guys. Just adding fractions and doing a couple of examples. So here we go. Adding fractions. I hope this is clear. Let's see. It looks fine. Okay. Alright, adding fractions. So, here is an example of a fraction. So, 3 over 5. Alright, that's an example of a fraction. I'll just zoom in so you guys can see. Okay, so that's a fraction. So the top part is called the numerator, and the bottom part is called the denominator. Okay, so here the 3 would be the numerator and the 5 would be the denominator. Alright, and the line separating them is the fraction. Alright, is like the division symbol. So this is how you write a fraction. This is an example of a fraction basically. So I'm going to go through a couple of examples with you guys. Some examples involving common denominator, where you add two fractions up and you have the same denominator for both. And also I'm going to go through some examples where you add two fractions up and you don't have the same common denominator. Alright, so here's my first example. Alright, we'll start off with this. So 3 over 5 plus 2 over 5. Okay, so you'll notice here in this case you have the denominator in this fraction, 3 over 5, is 5, and in 2 over 5 the denominator is also 5. So the denominator is common to both fractions. Alright, both fractions have a denominator of 5. Okay, and this one has a numerator of 3, this one has a numerator of 2. So in the case when you're adding fractions and the denominators are the same, well, it's pretty simple. All you really need to do is leave the denominator the way it is and For the numerator, you add the numerators up, and that will be your answer. So 3 plus 2 is 5, and your answer will be 5 over 5. So you leave the denominator the way it is, and just add up the numerators, and there's your answer. 5 over 5 is the same as saying 5 divided by 5, right? And 5 divided by 5 is equivalent to 1. So you can also write your answer as 1. More simple to write 1 than 5 over 5, right? So that's one example I wanted to go through with you guys. I'm going to also go through a bit more of a complicated example. So here we go. Okay, so this one here, you'll notice that you will not have the same denominator in both fractions when you're adding them. So I'm going to add these two fractions up. 3 over 4, 3/4, and 5 over 6. Okay? So here you'll notice that the denominators are not the same. In this case, the first question, the denominators were the same. Here, they're not. This one is a denominator of 4, this one is a denominator of 6. So what do we do? How do we add these? Well, the way to do it is you want to find a denominator that is common to both fractions. And so you want to find an equivalent fraction for 3 over 4 and an equivalent fraction for 5 over 6, where the denominator for both of them is 24. So if we take 3 over 4 here and put it on the side, okay, we want to find an equivalent fraction for 3 over 4 and an equivalent fraction for 5 over 6, right, where the denominator of both of these is basically the same. So how do you do that? Well, basically, you take both denominators, so the 4, for example, so here's the 4, and the 6, okay, and so now I'm going to find the lowest common multiple between 4 and 6, right? Alright, so basically what I mean is, the way we're going to do this is we're going to list all the multiples of 4, so the multiplication tables of 4, so 4 times 1, 4 times 2, etc., 4 times 3, and then we'll do the same for 6. So let's start with the multiples of 4. So what's 4 times 1? It's 4, right? And 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16, right? 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 is 24. And you can keep going on for 7, 8, 9, 10, and you can go and do it for as many numbers as you want. The list goes on, right? So 4 times 1, and here is, this one is the times 6, right? 4 times 6, right? So these are the multiples of 4 in order. Then we can also do the same for 6. So 6 times 1 will be 6. Then next we have 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24. And then 6 times 5 is 30. And we can go on. Okay, so this is a 6 times 1. This is a 6 times 5 right here. There we go. So now, we go through both lists, the multiples of 4 list, and also the multiples of 6 list. Okay, you'll notice that they have a couple of numbers in common. So 4 and 6 lists, both lists, you'll notice that they both have a 12 in common, right? They also both have a 24 in common. Now, we want to find the lowest common multiple between 4 and 6. So that is obviously the lowest number. So the lowest number in common between 4 and 6 in the lists is obviously the 12, right? So the lowest common multiple will be 12. Okay? And so that's what we'll use. to add our fractions. So an equivalent fraction for 3 over 4 will be, well, we'd want the denominator to be 12 here, right? And we'd also want the denominator to be 12 here as well, right? Okay. So how did we get 12? Obviously, if you come to the list here, you do 6 times 2 to get 12 here. So obviously here we did 6 times 2. And what you do to the bottom, you must do to the top to get an equivalent fraction. So now you're going to get 5 times 2 is 10. And now, same for the 4. So it's the third on the list, so obviously this is 4 times 3. Equivalent to 4 times 3. And so if you multiply by 3 here, you also multiply by 3 to the top. So times 3 here, and you get an equivalent fraction. And then here this will be a 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Right? Now we can add them. See? We can add 9 over 12 and 10 over 12 because both denominators are the same, just like we have in this question. Both the denominators are 5, now both denominators are 12. Right? So 5. I'll write it down here actually. So we have 9 over 12 plus 10 over 12. See that? Instead of 3 over 4 and 5 over 6. We would write this. 9 over 12 and 10 over 12. Alright, and now we have a common denominator between the two fractions and we can add them up the way we did in the first example. So 9 plus 10 will be 19. And then obviously we would keep the 12 the same. And there's your answer. Okay, so this is how you add fractions. So I went through 2 examples with you today. An easy example where the denominators are both the same, and so you keep them you keep the denominator the same in your answer, and all you do is add the numerators, the top numbers up, and that's your answer right there. And we also did a more complicated example where the 2 denominators are different. And so we would need to find the lowest common multiple between the 2 denominators, the 4 and the 6. And you can do it by listing the multiples out for 6 and for 4 and finding the lowest common number they have in that list. That is your lowest common multiple. Alright? And then now you can find the equivalent fraction for 3 over 4 and 5 over 6. You get the denominators now to both be the same, because now your denominator is essentially the lowest common multiple that we found in this list right here. And now we can add them the way we did in the first example, because both denominators are the same. You keep it the same, and then you can add the numerators up and you get your answer. Okay, so this is my first video and my first math tutoring lesson on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions about what I taught today, don't hesitate to ask and send me a message in the comment section below. Also, if you want me to discuss any other topic, it doesn't matter what grade, 1 to 12, anything. I'll make a video about that as well at some point, as soon as possible for sure. And I'll hopefully make my next video shortly. It'll be about subtraction of fractions. So I hope you enjoyed this, and see you on YouTube.